I love today's group of recipes because it's a breakfast, lunch, and dinner narrative, which is really kind of cool, but it's also kind of a trip around the world. And I mean, I haven't left this kitchen in a year. I imagine you haven't either. Left your own kitchens. Or the sets of your own self-produced YouTube shows. You know what I mean. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to Wingredients, where every month I celebrate one ingredient and show you 3 things to do with it. Today's ingredient is pineapple, but not just any pineapple. It's the pineapple that comes in a can. And canned pineapple is one of my favorite pantry ingredients because generally, when you're rummaging around in your pantry for dinner inspiration, you don't expect that dinner is going to taste bright and fresh and tropical, do you? You are thinking you're lucky if you find a can of beans back there. So do yourself a favor, if you go out and get a can to try any of these recipes, get 1 or 2 extra ones and throw them in the back of your pantry. Your future self will thank you. If you're not familiar with overnight oats, it's oatmeal that you don't cook. You leave it in the fridge overnight, it gets soft, and then you eat it cold. And it sounds completely disgusting when I describe it like that, but trust me, it's actually a really, really good breakfast, and it's infinitely customizable and great if you're in a hurry. And it stays good in the fridge for 5 days. So I'm gonna make 5 servings today, and then I've got my whole work week of breakfast covered, and that's a really, really good feeling. I'm using my favorite kind of oats, which are quick cook steel cut oats. And you can do this with regular rolled oats, or you can do it with regular steel cut, but you would have to leave it in the fridge a little bit longer. Quick cook steel cut oats are a revelation. You have the convenience of rolled oats, but with the texture of steel cut. Genius. So the night before you want to eat these, mix 1 cup of oats with 1 cup of coconut milk from a can, 1 cup neutral milk of your choice. I'm using almond because that's my fave. A good pinch of salt. And about 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. The salt and sugar are to taste. So if you want it sweeter, you can make it sweeter, but this is the way I like it. And then I'm just gonna whisk that together. I'm gonna cover it and put it in the fridge. I made this little one last night just to show you what it looks like when you take it out of the fridge. And you'll see that the oats have kind of sunk to the bottom, but just give it a little stir and it's ready to eat. And now let's work on the pineapple, which is something you could also do the night before if you want to. So this is just a can of pineapple drained, and all this gets is a generous zesting of lime and lime juice. And I like to assemble this in layers, kind of like a parfait, in this order. So granola first. Then oats. Then pineapple. Then repeat. And I'll top it with a little coconut. And maybe a little bit of almonds if I have them. Where'd that almond go? It's a pretty one. Look how pretty. It's a piña colada in breakfast form. Vacation in a jar. I'm overselling it a little bit. It's not, you know, the equivalent of going on vacation. But if you can't go on vacation, I'd be really happy to have this in your fridge. So this is kind of fun because it seems like in celebrating one pantry ingredient, the canned pineapple, I'm actually promoting some of my other favorites, like the quick cooking steel cut oats. Now I'm going to introduce you to another mainstay in my kitchen, the chipotle peppers in adobo, also in a can. And what I do is I just dump the whole can into the blender and then transfer the puree to a little container like this and keep it in the fridge. And I use it all the time in countless recipes. Sometimes I just mix a spoonful with mayo for a quick dipping sauce. And I love having it around. Today's recipe is really special because chipotle and pineapple is like a match made in heaven. First, I'm going to prep my chicken. To this bowl, I'm going to add a teaspoon of chipotle puree, a teaspoon of tomato paste, and about 2/3 of a cup of pineapple juice from the can. I'll whisk that together and that's my marinade. Then I'll add my chicken. And this is just 1/2 pound of chicken breast that I've seasoned with salt and pepper. I've also done some other significant vegetable prep, some of which is going to go inside my quesadilla and some of which is going to go on the outside. So I've got a green pepper, a red onion, some tomato, and cilantro. The onion I've diced in 2 different sizes, one big, one small. The small diced red onion, the tomato, and the cilantro are going to go into this bowl with my pineapple. And that's going to become a little pineapple pico de gallo to go on top of my quesadilla. I've got my pan heating on medium with a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm ready to cook my chicken. I'm just going to go ahead. Dump it in. And I'll saute the chicken until it's cooked through. It should take maybe 5 to 7 minutes. So now I'm going to transfer these to a plate. And just set them aside for the time being, leaving the skillet on. To which I'm going to add my peppers and my onions. And I'm going to cook these down in the leftover marinade from the chicken. And I'm going to use the moisture that they release to scrape up all the brown bits from the bottom of the pan. And they just need 2 or 3 minutes to get soft. When my peppers and onions finished, I added my chicken back in, along with 2/3 a cup of canned pineapple. Okay, new skillet. Now, I always do my quesadillas in a dry skillet because I'm gonna eat it with my hand. It's gonna be messy enough as it is. But if you really like that sort of buttery fried tortilla, and who could blame you, just add a pat of butter in here before you put the first tortilla in. In goes tortilla number 1, followed by a layer of cheese. And this is a mixture of cheddar and mozzarella. Then our chicken pineapple mixture. Then another layer of cheese. Looking so good already. This chicken smells amazing, by the way. I wish you could smell it. My last tortilla. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, when it's golden on the bottom, then I'll flip it. Beautiful. My cheese is getting a little bit crispy on the outside, which means that maybe my pan is too hot. I'm just gonna lower it a little bit, but I wouldn't say no to a little crispy cheese. And we'll give it 2-3 minutes on the other side. Watch to make sure whatever cheese that isn't super crispy is super melty, and then it's done. Ta-da! I'm gonna serve this quesadilla with the pineapple pico that we made earlier, and all I did to finish that was give it a hit of lime and a little salt. I'm also gonna serve it with some sour cream thinned with lime juice and a little lime zest. And you could call it a lime crema if there's somebody that you're trying to impress. I won't tell anybody. Let's take a look inside. Oh yeah, love the colors of those peppers and onions and that melty, melty cheese. And you can serve this on the side, but I think it looks pretty if you just kind of sprinkle it over. Doubles as sort of a plate garnish. That looks good. I am such a sucker for this flavor combination because Chipotles love acid, but they also love sweet. So the pineapple is just a perfect foil for them. Yum. Yum. I don't have anything else to say about it. I'm just gonna keep eating it, I think. Okay, pineapple fried rice. Very popular Thai restaurant menu item and a personal favorite. However, I find making fried rice at home to be really, really intimidating because the pan has to be super duper hot and everything cooks super duper fast and there's so many elements. Like, how do you know when each of them has had the right amount of time in the pan? Deep breath. I developed this recipe with all of those home cook anxieties in mind, and I know we can do this. Okay, let's go. The first step is just to get everything prepped because once we're over at the stove, like I said, it all just cooks really, really fast. And anything that's wet, in this case the pineapple and the shrimp, I'm going to dry as much as possible because that way it'll sear nicely. So this pineapple straight from the can, I'm just going to spread it around on a towel. And blot it. Get it as dry as possible. And I'm going to do the same thing with the shrimp. And these I'm also going to season with salt and pepper. I like to use dish towels instead of paper towels so I can decrease my carbon footprint. Now I'm gonna make a little sauce, which is 1 ounce of soy sauce, 1 ounce of pineapple juice from the can, and 2 teaspoons of sugar. I'll just mix it to combine. I'm laughing because I said a little sauce and I meant a little sauce. Alright, so in addition to my shrimp and pineapple, I have some rice, obviously. I have an egg that I scrambled, and veggies wise, I've got half an onion and 2 scallions, maybe a tablespoon of the green parts I separated out. I've got a tomato and some cilantro. And my pan is on medium high to high heat. And I'm gonna let my oil get really hot before I start to cook. All right, the first thing I'm gonna cook is my shrimp. And if my oil's hot enough, it should only take a minute or 2 on each side. Truthfully, I think I have too much oil in this pan. So do as I say, not as I do. A tablespoon of oil, it's in the recipe. The next thing I'm gonna add is my egg. And I'm just gonna quickly scramble it until it's set. I'm gonna take it out and put it with my shrimp. Leave it to chill on the side. Now at this point, you might want to add some more oil to your pan if you followed the recipe and only added a tablespoon to start, but I'm going to leave it as is. And I'm going to add my onion and scallion. And my pineapple. This is the one part you don't want to rush, because I really love that little char on the pineapple. I've seen a lot of recipes for pineapple fried rice online where they don't add the pineapple until the last minute, and I'm like, why? Once it starts to get nice and brown, see that? That's when I'm going to add my rice. I made this rice yesterday, but if you didn't plan too far in advance, you can make it fresh. Just remember that rule about drying everything. Spread it out on a sheet pan or a plate once it's done, and let some of the moisture evaporate off. I'm giving this rice maybe a minute or 2 to crisp up. And once it's nice and crispy, I'm going to add my shrimp and my egg back in. Oop. And I'm going to add my sauce. And all that needs is 1 more minute in there to heat the shrimp through again. Then I'll turn the heat off. Add my tomato, my green onions, and my cilantro. Voila! We did it! Now this isn't the most attractive dish to plate, so here's a little trick. What I'm gonna do is pack it into a small bowl. And then flip it into a medium one. Let's see if that worked. I don't have exactly the right tools for this, but it's gonna be really good anyway. I'm gonna finish it with a little extra cilantro and a little squeeze of lime. This is a really great dinner for one, you know, because you can't really double it because the pan will get too crowded. So make this on a night, you know, a night you've got to yourself and you want to treat yourself to a little kitchen win and some Netflix. It's so yummy. And there you have it. That's 3 ways to win with a can of pineapple. I hope you enjoyed this little adventure through the pantry. As usual, you can find all these recipes and more on wingredients.com. Subscribe if you like what you see, and I'll see you next time.